Hello and welcome everybody to 1996. Now, I was in high school in 1996 and I wasn't like a golfer. I go to the range sometimes, but Taylormade always stood out to me at that time because they always had these really loud, you could spot a Taylormade from a mile away. Who else is going to use bronze paint? Steve Wynn? Way ahead of its time. So, to me, this copper colored paint jumps out at me every time I see it. Taylormade, and every now and then you see a knockoff, you're just like, But generally it's happiness, right? It reminds me of high school, and that's what this does. This is the Taylormade Tour. Now you've seen the LC, GL, GC, the L, whatever, Taylormade irons that I hit previously. And these came right at the peak of the bronze era of Taylormade. And then obviously they just moved away from it and moved on to their normal, what looked seemingly normal for a long time, and now they're getting pretty loud again, irons. So to me, absolutely something we need to discuss: the Tour, the slightly thinner, less massive, more Tour themed irons. Let's get this under the microscope and have a closer look. So you can spot these a mile away. It's this alien eye cavity shape with Taylormade line Tour on the aft portion here. I like this the top of the toe and top line where they have this little Taylormade logo stamped in. I like little details like that. That's fun. You'll also notice that the back is stamped so the top line looks even thinner. Why? Because this is the Taylormade Tour. And then on the sole, it says burner, as you would expect, with the iron number, in this case pitching wedge, out by the toe. Very clean, easy to see. Spin around the hosel. Oh, look at my beautiful strike pattern. Did you see that? Get the light just right there. Yep, that's right. Look at that strike pattern. That's not a strike. That's, maybe it is, but around the hosel, nothing going on around here. Very clean, no pins or anything. Looks like it's just glued in. We have a black ferrule with this nice copper-toned single ring. We move up the stepless shaft. That's right, stepless shaft, with this huge Taylormade label right here. This is a whole legal document, precision rifle, all this stuff, precision, precision, precision. And on this side, they just didn't put anything. Who needs that? You can see my label right here, 1996, to remind me of the year. And then we have this Taylormade branded grip with little bits of coloring in there. Pretty interesting. And then you can just see the Taylormade steering wheel logo on the back. Not sure if that's going to show up. And that's the grip we're using. So still has some life left in it, and it's a pitching wedge, so it should work out pretty well. Let's get out on the range and see how it feels. So I have some pretty strong feelings about these clubs, and I can say right now, I'm actually not going to say right now because we should save that for the end. I'll tell you how I feel about them in a minute. But as far as an iron goes, these feel like a stainless steel iron. They feel fabulous is how they feel. I don't notice much with a pitching wedge. I mean, it's a pitching wedge, so there's not going to be much difference between this and just a straight blade or a massive iron. I had no problems. I felt like this was perfectly controllable. What I do with the face is what I do with the face, and it seems to respond exactly how I expect it to respond. So very predictable, good iron. As a playable club, yes, this works, all right? But when I'm looking at the 90s, if I want to build a set around a set of irons, this is not in my top 10. This is pretty low down on my list of interesting things. Number one, okay, so here's my take. I don't like these irons for no other reason than the look. Does that make sense? To me, this, half-hearted cavity doesn't do it for me. I don't like it. There are so many clubs that look like this. I just feel like, why? If I could choose any club, for the last 50 years. Why would I choose this? And then this copper color again. It reminds me of my high school years, and like there's something like some Taylormade bubble drivers I really like. But these irons haven't aged well. For me personally, I look at this and it's just like, that's lovely. Hey, cool, high school. Do you want to set? No, that's okay. It's like, as for me, I don't know, I can't speak to everybody out there, but when I was a child, I had my first bite of chocolate mousse, and it was the best thing ever. It was just heaven on a spoon. I was like, oh my goodness, chocolate mousse. What have I been missing my whole life? It was so good. Now, when I eat chocolate mousse, I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's good. Too much, too rich for my taste. Just leave it on. Well, I'll enjoy the look of it. That's how I feel about this. It's like, yes, great memories, but not something I'm just chomping at the bit to get my hands on, you know what I mean? So that's a very personal opinion, okay? Like I said, as a dynamic iron, these are fabulous, fabulous. But it's loud enough, and the way it looks doesn't sit well. It's just purely aesthetics. Like I said, if I have 50, 60 years worth of irons to choose from, why would I choose one that I don't like the look of? As usual, write your comments in the comments below. All your thoughts, whatever, about Taylormade, about 1996, about the 90s, and how you felt about golf. I'm excited to read. If you want to support the channel, you can support me on Patreon. I like to give my patrons credits. I really appreciate their support. As usual, if you don't want your name up, you don't have to have your name up. I send personal messages and invite people to have their name in the credits. You can also support this channel by visiting my Amazon shop. I'll put a link in the description below. I am an Amazon associate. I make proceeds from qualifying purchases. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe.